Alright guys, today we're going to talk about one of the greatest figures from the 100 Years' War, Joan of Arc. Now, when it comes to Joan's former life, it was nothing out of the ordinary. She was an illiterate farm girl who came from a village in northeast France. However, one day she was out here minding her own business when suddenly she gets a vision about the ongoing war. But why were they in this war? Well, due to England being rooted with some French background, they would take control of not only their throne, but the throne of France as well. And the 100 Years' War was a dispute to enforce that claim. When Joan had this vision, it was three saints telling her to overcome the English and help Charles VII take his rightful spot at the throne. She immediately took this as divine intervention and prepped herself for the journey. Now, the area that surrounded her village mostly belonged to the Burgundians, who were allies to the English at the time. So, just to be on the safe side, she gets escorted by French army men while being disguised as one herself. She then meets up with Charles and tells him about the situation. Considering that the French literally had nothing else to lean on, Joan was their only hope. He grants Joan permission to lead at the army's head. But first, we gotta put these visions to the test. He sends her to lift the siege that the English had on the city of Orleans. When she gets there, the ruling family in Orleans didn't really trust what Joan had to say. This didn't stop Joan though. She was still able to show up, turn things around, and in doing so, she earned the respect of not only the church, but the same people who tried to counter her out in the first place. The English, on the other hand, thought Joan was possessed by the devil. I mean, how else could this girl show up, put in some cheat codes, and turn the whole fight around? So, they continued to follow her orders, making their way to the city of Reims, where Charles is supposed to receive the crown. This led to the Battle of Patay. The English said, "I'm gonna be honest with you, this doesn't look too good." So they tried to make a run for it, which in fact got most of them either killed or captured in the long run. They pull up to Reims, Charles takes the crown, and they negotiate a truce with the Burgundians. When the truce came to an end, Joan went to the city of Compiègne, where she fought yet another siege. Her side came out victorious, but in the midst of it all, her army got caught in an ambush. She was then captured and imprisoned by the Burgundian forces. She tried to escape several times, but none of these efforts did her any good. One of these attempts include her jumping out of a 70-foot tower. How? Eventually, the Burgundians sell Joan to the English, and she gets moved to the city of Rouen, where she's put on trial for heresy. That's right, heresy for what, you ask? Nothing! They never had any actual evidence against Joan to begin with, but they put her on trial anyway. These people broke several laws, denied her the right to see a lawyer, and left the entire court unbalanced and in favor of the English. She asked could she invite some people to represent the French, but you know they shut that down as quick as possible. One of the few people that did have her back, they told him, "You better cooperate or we gonna kill you first." She's as guilty as they come, Your Honor. I saw everything. After accusing her of 70 different crimes, the only one she couldn't avoid was heresy by cross-dressing. Now here's the thing. They knew that they could only give her the death penalty if she committed heresy multiple times. So the court made that happen. Once the trial was over, they gave her a document and told her that she either signs it or she will get executed on the spot. See, up until this point, Joan had been wearing male armor to reduce the likelihood of someone taking advantage of her. When she signed this document, it was her agreeing to wear female clothing from that point forward. They locked her up, threw her in prison with a dress on, and one of the Englishmen tried to come in and forcefully put his meat inside her. So of course, for her own protection, she switches back to her military clothing. They were then able to charge her again for cross-dressing, and she was sentenced to be executed by the flame. They tied her to a stake, gave her a cross as we saw in the show, burned her alive, and threw her remains in a river. Y'all ain't shit for this. Now, after the war was over, the trial was reopened and the final verdict was reversed. Turns out, she wasn't guilty after all. Pretty noble of y'all, considering that she's already been barbecued. After finding out she was innocent, Joan was officially declared a saint by the Roman Catholic Church. She was only 19 at the time. That about wraps it up. If you enjoyed the video, please like it up so we can get this trending. Feel free to add information as you see fit, and let